The day my father chose strangers over me, my world came crashing down, their faces unknown, but their shadows heavy. It felt like watching my own reflection crack in slow motion, the pieces sliding into a void I never thought I'd know. Everything I believed solid vanished. The moment hangs in the air like an axe poised to drop. My father stands across from me in our tired, modest living room, his face a blend of stubborn resolve and simmering anger. He's chosen them, his new family, over his own blood. Years of shared memories, stories, laughter, and tears crash upon the hard truth that some connections, no matter how deeply etched in our hearts, can be so easily severed. I feel something shatter inside, the remnants of what once was our unshakable bond. He looks at me, almost daring me to challenge his decision, but my voice, choked with disbelief, fails me. What do you say to a man who prefers the warmth of strangers? How can you just let go of everything we've been, all for them? My voice cracks, the plea hanging in the air between us, heavy and wet with desperation. I can feel every breath like it's scraping my throat raw, and it takes everything not to choke on these words that taste of bitter disbelief. The room is too familiar, yet suddenly so foreign. The old clock ticks steadily, carving silences that feel like fractures. I focus on the patterned wallpaper behind him, the one I used to trace with my fingers as a child when he held me in his arms, telling me stories of heroes and everlasting love. Those tales now lay shattered at our feet, ghostly echoes of a world where trust wasn't a weapon. His eyes meet mine, and for a flicker of a moment, they are the same eyes that once glistened with pride as I made my first awkward steps into adulthood. Now, they seem distant, shielding something I can't comprehend. It's a look I've recognized recently, a look reserved for others, not for me. It's the look of something cherished slipping through one's fingers. Dad, please, I say, my voice dropping to a whisper that even I barely recognize. This isn't just about them or us. It's everything. He shifts his weight, crossing his arms in that familiar defensive stance, his silence louder than the pleading words trapped inside my chest. I want to reach out, to shake him from whatever holds him in this iron grip, but I'm terrified of what I might learn should he actually speak. Every Christmas, every late-night conversation, when we laughed until our sides ached. Does any of that matter to you? I take a step closer, not daring to blink. I still believe in us. Do you? The silence stretches, taut and thin. I hold my breath, watching his lips, willing them to move, to give or to fight back. Anything but this monstrous quiet. But all he does is sigh, a long exhale that sounds like a door creaking shut. I wonder if he can hear the crack in my heart matching the crack in my voice. The desperation turns to something molten, a blend of anguish and a lone flicker of anger. How can he shut me out? How can everything we've shared be disposable, like an old newspaper yellowed with time? I'm not asking for much, I finally say, my tone a quiet surrender mingled with one last hope. Just say you won't give up on us. The words fall between us like a fragile peace offering. I've put faith into what feels like crumbling sand, hoping he'll see the shoreline of what we once had, even as waves of doubt threaten to obliterate it. But his eyes drift away, past me, focusing somewhere I can't follow. And in that silence, I hold on to the only thing that feels real. This pain, deep and searing, that marks the beginning of an end I'm still struggling to understand. I deserve happiness, even if it means starting over without you. His words hang between us, cutting like a sharp blade through the thick air of the living room. I can feel the heat rising off my skin, the tension like a band tightening around my chest. I can't seem to find my breath. The room feels smaller, the walls creeping in. His eyes, so much like mine, yet filled with something unfamiliar now, a cold resolve that doesn't match the man I once admired. The smell of coffee, stale and bitter, mingles with the heavy scent of impending change. I need something different, he says, his voice rising with a veneer of calm that cracks at the edges. The frustration simmers beneath, a volcano held at bay by his own sheer force of will. In his hands, he grips a coffee mug, holding it as if it's the anchor to keep him from drifting away, as if anything in this moment is solid. I can see the logical puzzle he's piecing together in his mind, each word a careful calculation to justify ripping our family apart. You have your own life. You'll be okay. You and your mother. You'll adjust, find your own new normal. He continues, spearing each sentence into the silence like they're facts in a ledger. Somehow, this makes it worse, this masquerade of rationality. My arms are crossed tightly against my chest, trying to hold all the pieces of myself together as they threaten to spill out, raw and rejected. It's like watching someone pour cement over a bouquet of wildflowers, the beauty and chaos replaced by something uniform, unyielding. Did I do anything wrong? The question fumbles out of my throat, quieter than I intended, almost disappearing into the space between us. His reaction is immediate, a shadow flitting over his face like a passing storm cloud. No, it's not about you, he insists, almost pleading, as if my forgiving him could wash away his internal conflict. I just need to find something that's for me. I've spent years living for everyone else. The room seems to tilt, the windows casting long, pale shadows. I hear the ticking of the clock, each second measured against the loss we're confronting. Maybe it's the way his voice drops, that softer tone he can't quite suppress, hinting at a chasm of unspoken fears and desires buried deep. The hurt blooms inside me, fierce and undeniable. I watch him set the mug down with a trembling hand, the small clink of final punctuation in his declaration of self. Somewhere beneath my own boiling anger, there lurks a flicker of understanding, of realizing too late the price of everyone's freedom. Outside, a car door slams, pulling us into another unwanted present, the dust motes settling slowly, like memories that cannot be unmade. The light in the room feels cold, an unwelcome invader casting long shadows on the walls. My father sits across from me, his face a rough map of stony resolve. Every wrinkle seems carved deeper by the weight of what he's about to say. I can feel my heart thudding in my chest, its rhythm growing erratic as silence stretches between us. There's an edge in his eyes I've never seen before, like he's dug a line into the earth and I'm standing too close to it. The oak table between us could be a chasm, and I'm unsure whose side I'm on, unsure if I even belong on a side at all. Listen, he begins, his voice low, grinding like gravel. That single word hovers in the air too long, heavy with all that it implies. I don't answer, just swallow hard, trying to keep my composure. My mind races, grasping at anything that could make this moment stop, rewind, be anything but what it is. His ultimatum comes out flat, unyielding. You need to decide, he says, each word piercing the air. It's either them or us. That's the choice you're giving me? The question lands between us like a verdict, irreversibly real. I stare at him, waiting for the softening that never comes. He means it. I want to argue, to explain, but the words lodge in my throat, a mass of confusion and disbelief. I look at him, really look at him, searching for the father I thought I knew. He's right there, but so far away. The cords in his neck are taut, his jaw set like stone, every inch of him resolved to see this through. Dad, I stutter, desperation wrapping around my words. Why does it have to be like this? His eyes flash, a spark of something sharp and fleeting. It's not negotiable. You knew this could happen. You just didn't want to see it. It feels like he stripped me bare. This is the breaking point, the moment of no return, and his words hang like an axe overhead. My heart aches, a dull pressure beneath my sternum. The air feels too thick, smothering, each breath a struggle. I glance away, my vision blurring as unshed tears sting my eyes. The room closes in, walls leaning, shadows swallowing up the sliver of light from the window. I can't fathom a world where I have to choose one love over another. My pride whispers to hold firm, to rebel, but the sadness beneath it trembles, warning me of how irrevocable this choice will be. I want to scream, to shatter the stillness between us, but instead, only a whisper escapes. I don't know if I can do this. His face hardens further, turning into a mask. Then you know what that means. The chill of his words draws me in like a tide and pulls me under. In that moment, the acceptance of loss is almost unbearable. The door clicks shut behind him, the finality of the sound reverberating through the silence like a ricocheted gunshot. I stand motionless, listening to his footsteps fade down the driveway, each one pulling a thread from the tightly wound ball of my chest until what's left is an unraveling mess of empty space. The silence settles heavy and thick, filling every corner of the house with an oppressive quiet that seems almost audible. His absence is louder than his presence ever was, echoes of a father I've lost. In the living room, the air hangs still, dust motes floating lazily in the slant of afternoon sun that slices through the window, cutting across the empty armchair he always occupied. The room feels foreign, like an abandoned set piece from a life that wasn't mine. I reach for the glass on the table, his half-finished scotch still in it. The amber liquid sloshes as I bring it up to the fading light, watching it refract and twist on the walls. I take a sip, letting the burn crawl down my throat, hoping it might ignite some warmth, but it doesn't. It just settles cold in the pit of my stomach. For a moment, I think maybe he'll return, walk through the door, fill this vacuum with his familiar chaos. But deep down I know it's just wishful thinking, a desperate refuge that offers no shelter. My eyes drift to the photograph of us perched on the mantel. Two grinning faces against the backdrop of a Christmas tree, an image of happier times. I remember that moment distinctly, his arm wrapped around me, squeezing too tight, an awkward but earnest attempt at fatherly affection. Now, it's just another remnant, a cruel reminder of something that never felt complete. I slide down to the floor, my back against the couch, knees pulled to my chest. The fabric of the carpet is rough against my fingertips as I trace invisible patterns, an unconscious attempt to ground myself. The house creaks, settling into this new reality where I'm alone amidst the vast emptiness. Outside, the wind rattles the window pane, a mournful sound that perfectly mirrors the turmoil inside me. The abandonment sinks in layers, an anchor pulling me deeper into a sea of solitude. I see the shadows lengthen as time drags by, the world outside continuing with oblivious ignorance to my inner devastation. Yet, in here, time seems suspended, caught in the sticky web of grief and loneliness. I close my eyes, letting the darkness bring comfort where light cannot. But even behind closed lids, the void remains. It's there, spreading, a growing chasm inside me. I inhale and feel the air stick in my throat, thick with unspoken words and unshed tears. And with each breath, I realize all over again how everything has changed, how nothing will ever be the same. I trusted him. I never imagined he'd choose them over me. The words hang in the air between us, raw and jagged, as if uttering them aloud might somehow carve a rift in my own heart. I stare into my coffee mug, watching its dark surface ripple, reflecting not just the lighting overhead, but the tempest brewing inside me. Beside me, Jen is silent, letting her presence be the balm to my wounded soul. Her fingers, warm and steady, rest lightly against my forearm, grounding me even as I feel the urge to float away, untethered and directionless. We sit opposite each other at our usual booth, the hum of background chatter merging into a comforting white noise that drowns out my internal chaos. Jen finally speaks, her voice calm and measured like a practiced hand stitching a torn seam. It's okay to be angry. You have every right. I nod, my throat tightening, the reality of her words seeping into me slowly, like ink spreading on wet paper. The betrayal sits like a stone in my chest, heavy and immovable. I've gone over it countless times in my head, cataloging every moment, every nuanced inflection, searching for the telltale cracks I missed, signs I should have seen. How could he? The question echoes inside, tracing the contours of my mind like a persistent, cold breeze that refuses to let up. The irrational surge of anger at his smiling betrayal tugs at my composure, threatening to unravel me in public. I clutch my mug tighter, my thumb tracing the smooth ceramic rim, the only thing keeping me from splintering apart. Jen interrupts the loaded silence, her gaze a careful probe into my steadfast exterior. You know, she begins tentatively, he might not be worth it after all. You deserve better than this. The words strike a tender spot, almost making me flinch, because despite the betrayal, the yearning remains. I long for the closeness ripped from my life, the warmth of familiarity now scorched and ash-gray. And it stings, knowing I still want him despite everything he's done. It's just, I begin, voice wavering. I thought we had something real. How do I even begin to make sense of that? Jen's eyes soften, her understanding a balm against the rawness. You start with you, she says quietly, and I'll be here. I release a shaky breath, feeling the fracture lines mending just slightly, the solace of a friend's unwavering support offering a brief respite from the storm within. It's not much, but maybe, possibly, it's a beginning. The table between us remains a tenuous bridge across which I could cross back into something manageable, if not easy. A waitress appears like an apparition, topping off our mugs, a small, unremarkable gesture that nudges the moment forward, a moment that leads into a tomorrow I can't yet imagine, but hope to one day face whole. The sun filtered through the branches, casting soft patterns on the ground as my father and I wandered through the familiar trail. We were unstoppable. Back then, life was as simple as a shared smile. His hand, warm and solid, fit perfectly around mine, anchoring me to the world. I can still hear the crunch of leaves beneath our feet, and his laughter mixing with the crisp air like music. "Dad," I'd say, and he'd turn to me, eyes full of unspoken understanding. He taught me to listen to the forest, to hear the whispers in the wind. We'd pause, just silent enough for the world to speak to us. In those moments, I felt invincible, like we had all the time in the world. My heart aches, knowing how much I miss those days. It felt like the universe was in harmony, a perfect duet of our lives. Then, a jarring lurch pulls me back, showing me the sharp contrast of the void now separating us. The sureness of his hand is gone, replaced by the sterile chill of my empty apartment. The silence is too loud, riddled with unsaid words and the distance that stretches endlessly between us now. I remember the day we packed up his old workshop. Dust motes danced like tiny fairy lights in the shafts of sunlight coming through the open window. I ran my fingers over the well-worn tools, each one telling stories I'd heard 1,000 times. He was right beside me, sorting through decades of his life, yet he might as well have been 1,000,000 miles away. Our laughter in those rooms had faded, replaced by a silence that held too many questions and not enough answers. "Do you remember our hikes?" I asked, futilely trying to draw him back to when we were bound by the simplicity of shared adventures. He nodded, a brief smile flickering, echoing past joy but failing to fully bridge the gap. The weight of what we don't say presses on me. We used to be so connected, now we're barely holding on to the threads. The memory of his laugh, infectious and genuine, wraps around me like a comforting but ghostly embrace. It's strange how the things that once brought solace now only bring pain. My nights are restless, filled with half-remembered dreams of running through forests with him, sunlight warming our faces as laughter filled the spaces between trees. Yet, waking up is another hollow reminder of how much has changed. I reach for a reality that slipped through my fingers, finding nothing but air and silence. The doorbell breaks this mournful train of thought, pulling me back to the present. My heart skips, anticipation mingled with dread. What if it's him? What if it's not? The possibilities twist inside me, knotting fear and hope in a dance as old as the memories they're born from. I stand, lingering in the echo of days gone by, with every footstep towards the door echoing the relentless passage of time. The paper feels unusually heavy as I lay it out on the table, my hand trembling slightly as it hovers above, unsure of where to begin. The familiar old ache in my chest flares up, not with anger anymore, but with a quiet, persistent heaviness that I've come to know far too well. "Dear Dad," I finally scribble, the words looking foreign against the stark white page. My pen pauses, and the silence of the room amplifies every nuance of my breath, in and out, like waves against some distant shore. It's not rage that drives my next words, but something like resignation, an understanding that no matter what I write, it won't change the years gone by or the indelible silence that stretches between us. Still, I write, because there's nothing else left. I wanted things to be different. I scrawl, sensing the truth in every letter. Each word forces me to confront old memories, a barrage of images that rush unbidden. Birthday parties with one chair empty, yet not forgotten, his laughter echoing through past summers, now a cruel mockery whispered only in dreams. The breeze from the open window draws my attention momentarily, and through it, I sense a new presence in the air, a hint of change. It's a hope too fragile to grasp and too precious to discard, gently threaded through the melancholy that envelopes me. I've been angry for so long. I admit, the confession carving out a piece of the burden, making it lighter somehow. But anger is a weight I've grown tired of carrying. And there it is, the bitter truth blossoming into tired acceptance. It isn't about forgiveness, not yet, but stepping aside from the shadows anger casts, letting the light in, however dim. The pen moves once more, and there's a deep, inexplicable calm beneath the storm of emotions. Maybe one day, we'll find our way back. I write, knowing even as the words take form, that day might never come. Yet in writing it, I allow the possibility to exist, giving myself permission to hope for a future where reconciliation isn't just a distant fantasy. The ink dries, and with it, so does my animosity, leaving traces of something softer in its wake. My heart still aches, but it beats steadily now, one thud echoing the quiet plea of my final words. But for now, this is goodbye. I fold the letter, sealing it with a sense of finality that isn't entirely unwelcome. As I place it in the aged envelope, I feel the shift, a space inside me cleared of darkness, brimming with the faint promise of things yet to be, as I stand and release the letter, as if releasing a tethered part of myself. The morning light filters through the curtains with a softness that almost makes it bearable. I sit at the kitchen table, the worn edges of the wood familiar under my fingertips, a mug of coffee cooling between my hands. It's strange to start a day without the usual pit in my stomach, the emptiness where his voice used to be. Every part of me is aware of the quiet absence, yet it feels slightly less hollow. This reluctant peace nudges me forward, urging me to reclaim pieces of myself I'd let slip away. I take a deep breath, the air filling my lungs with a promise of something new. Life moves forward, even when the past weighs heavy on your heart. I mumble to myself, the whispered words like a gentle nudge, urging me to step into the unknown. I glance around, taking in the little changes I've made. A new painting on the wall, vibrant with colors he would have hated. The neglected potted plant I've revived, its leaves reaching for the sun. These are my faint declarations of independence, each a quiet rebellion against the weight of what used to be. There's a sense of renewed possibility in the air, a feeling stirring deep within me as I resolve to grab hold of it. I discard the old, ashen memories in favor of something that feels alive. The sink needs fixing. I never wanted to learn how, always deferring to him. But now the YouTube tutorial feels less daunting, another step towards being someone who doesn't need his approval. I grab the toolbox with newly found purpose. It's awkward at first, the wrench clinking awkwardly as I fumble with it, the discomfort of new beginnings biting at the edges of my resolve. But then there's a satisfaction as things begin to fit, as though solving a puzzle, each click and twist a testament to my steady emergence from beneath his shadow. The echo of his judgment lingers, a ghost whispering denigrating words I refuse to acknowledge, each one a fading echo. I push back against that phantom doubt, feeling the empowerment of my own steps, no matter how small. It's a struggle painted with regret, every triumph tinged with the nostalgia of a voice missing in my victories. As the water flows smoothly once more, the metaphor is not lost on me. I wipe my hands, marveling at the small triumph of a task done without him, and I feel a flicker of pride nestle quietly alongside my sadness. This journey isn't about erasing him, but about standing firm in the life I've chosen beyond his absence. Stepping back, I allow a small smile to edge across my lips. My phone buzzes with the messaging chime, drawing attention away. It's from a friend suggesting we go hiking this weekend. A simple but powerful reminder that there's more ahead. There's life outside the remnants of what wasn't, and for the first time in a long time, the path seems mine to take. The letter arrived on a Monday, bundled with utility bills and junk ads, its presence unexpected and heavy in my hands. The envelope bore my father's handwriting, jagged angles softened by time, like the remnants of our tangled past. My fingers hesitated at the seal, caught between the desire to protect myself and the need to know. I sat at the kitchen table, the late afternoon sun stretching across the linoleum floor, and tore it open. Loose ink danced across the paper, familiar in its disorder, delivering a succinct message that hit me like a quiet thunder in my chest. I miss you. Just 3 words, but they reverberated with possibilities I hadn't dared to imagine in months. The silence between us had grown long and tangled, suffocating yet strangely reassuring in its constancy. Now, these words cut through that silence, sharp and tentative. I leaned back, letting the chair creak beneath me, the letter held like a fragile relic. Images of my father flickered to life. Him in the garage, grease smeared on his forehead as he tinkered with the old Buick. Our countless arguments over the smallest things. The last time we had spoken, voices raised, the door slamming shut. What was this letter? A plea? A proclamation? Or perhaps just a misstep of vulnerability, scribbled during a moment of solitude? The questions twisted in my mind, but there was a part of me, the child who once believed in his invulnerability, that clung to hope. His words were unsure, like we were, paused, faltering. Yet they held a crackling undercurrent of something alive, something willing to change. I closed my eyes, the paper's texture rough against my thumb, and let his words unfurl in the quiet of the room. The day waned outside, shadows stretching their fingers across the walls as if reaching for the past, for lost time. Unconsciously, I reached for my phone, hesitating as the cursor blinked on a new message. What could I say that wouldn't sound tremulous, or worse, bitter? How to shape language around shattered trust, yet leave room for healing. I typed and erased, uncertainty bubbling up like a bitter spring. But beneath the fear, a new feeling began to bloom. Perhaps if he was willing to extend this olive branch, perhaps if I met him halfway, there might be a path forward. The cursor continued its rhythmic blink, and eventually, I typed back. Not everything. Not a grand gesture that would overextend my still ragged emotions, but a start. Got your letter. Let's talk. It was simple, restrained by the weight of past wrongs, yet it felt monumental, like the first line drawn in a child's crayon masterpiece, promising space to fill with new, unfamiliar patterns. I exhaled, the air thick with cautious optimism, knowing that from this point, the future would be as uncertain as it was open.